Hey everyone, good afternoon to you from my end. The clock just turned 2 o'clock Central Time. I'm always excited to be here with my dear Augusta. I'm so glad she was able to join us today. Hello, Augusta, how you doing? We are so excited for the conversation we're going to have today. In fact, I'm looking forward to learning so much because sometimes when anytime I talk to Ukeme or just read something about how hear her story, in my mind I was like, that's who I want to be when I grow up, right? It's like if someone does it, then it's possible. It's just I think that's what it is for me. My own inspiration is that it's possible, right? And then we just need to understand how. We need to learn how it's going to be. So today I'm really excited about the conversation. She's been very busy. She's been traveling even today. So having her coming for this conversation is such an honor. We're really honored to have someone of her caliber to really just come and share some of her life experiences with us. Because for me, I always believe that you cannot give what you don't have, right? You share things from your lived experiences and not something that ChatGPT told you. So you can say something from what you've lived, and then it has more impact. Okay, let me not go on and on. If you're here on LinkedIn or joining from YouTube, do let us know. Let us know that you're in. Let's see. Let me look at LinkedIn to see. Let me be sure that you can hear me, because I don't want to keep going on and on until I'm sure that people are here and they can hear us. So if you're here, do drop a comment in the chat. Let us know that you are here. Let us know that you can hear us. Let us know where you are streaming from. We're really excited to have you. And then once we have that out of the way, I'm going to introduce myself. Augusta will introduce herself, and we'll just jump right into the masterclass we have today. Right? We'll just jump right into it. So if you're here in the chat, please do drop a chat and let us know. Even though I know there is a bit of a lag time from when what I say gets to you on LinkedIn or on YouTube. So that's let's just get started. My name is Dr. Amaka Ifeduba, for those of you who probably don't know me. Oh, hi, Kanika. Oh, tell us where you're joining us from. It's so good to see you. Thank you for being the first person to join the live stream today. Thank you for being here early. Where are you joining us from? We're excited to have you here for our conversation. All right. So before I keep going, I'm the founder and lead coach at Scholar of Mentoring Academy. And I'm going to just tell you a little bit about Scholar of Mentoring Academy. But before doing that, I think I should just turn it to Augusta to introduce herself also, while we wait for people to come into the room, just give people more time. I can see from LinkedIn, we have about 13 people already on board. So please let us know where you are joining us from. Let us know your name. Let us know where you're joining us from. We want to give a big shout out to you. So Augusta, could you introduce yourself?
Hello. I'm multitasking. I'm looking at LinkedIn here. I'm looking at Restream here. Hello, I'm so excited. I'm trying to just keep calm and behave myself. I'm so excited about this conversation today. So, as you know, I'm Augusta, Dr. Augusta, medical doctor, transitioned to identifying currently as an edtech innovator. So, but as you know, I'm your number one studying in France consultant, ranked number two higher education content creator by Fabicon here on LinkedIn. And I help a lot of students come study in France. I'm currently working closely with Omnium Business School as the African Development Officer because I'm passionate about African development. And hopefully aspire to be mayor of Paris one day.
Why not?
Yes,
Why
I'm here
not?
to take all
There's
the tidbits,
nothing.
all the nuggets I need to know how to get it. How many years is it going to take me? Let me start drawing the map. Okay, so I'm excited and I'm here. Hoping that more people come to join us and let's get this party started. Oh my
Right,
God.
let's get the party started. Let's say hello to our friends in the chat. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining us. Simi says she's joining from Jos. That's where I grew up. Anytime I hear Jos, that's home for me. Thank you so much for being here. Oluwa Tosin says hello. Tell us where you're joining from. Kanika says she's joining from India. Oh, wow. Is it midnight in India? I always wonder what the time difference is. What time is it in India currently? I think it's probably going to be midnight. I have a couple of people I had meeting with them in India, and then they told me it was way past midnight, and I was like, oh wow. Okay, Eromosele, our big brother is here. He says, Dr. AI and Dr. AI, welcome. Okay, Thank you, big brother. We're always excited to have you here. Where are you joining us from? Tell us where you're joining us from, please. We have Rachel from Delta State. Eremosele says, is Michael. He's joining from the UK. Thank you for coming. We are excited to have you here. Tobias is here. He says he's joining from Enugu, Nigeria. Okay, thank you so much for being here. And then we have Peter. Peter says he's joining from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you for being here. And then Kanika is saying something. What did you say, Kanika? You say, I understand the good LinkedIn photo, a good picture on your resume is so important. I created Go Studio to get professional images without any photo shoot using AI. Happy to help everyone here get their images and present them to them professionally. Okay, that's cool. You're doing good. You're doing really good. I tried to use ChatGPT to create an image. It created an image that did not look like me. So maybe you try doing one that looks like me, but the one ChatGPT created, it looks nothing like me at all. So okay. Then we have Oluwatosin says is joining from South Africa. Oh wow, that's nice. Thank you for being here. And then Veronica says she is joining from Accra. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Yes, we have a full room. One more thing before we get started, please help us repost. Today is Saturday. There could be a number of people who are strolling and wondering what to do on LinkedIn, and then they come across this on your feed. This is a very important conversation. We want to help as many people as possible to really understand this thing about career transition, right? Because most of the time people are stuck. You feel like, like Augusta, who is a medical doctor and somehow managed to abandon it and, move on to do something else. But some people cannot really see themselves taking that path. And sometimes people stay with something they don't like for the rest of their life, right? There's been people who is like, oh, wow, it took me 6 years, it took me 7 years, so I have to be this thing. So Ukeme's story and the story of so many people here would be an opportunity for us to understand some of those mindset shifts and some of those lessons that really helps you to transition and thrive in a new country. Believe you me, it's not easy to thrive in a new country because no matter what you do, you remain the minority for a very, very long time, right? You would always be somewhat the minority. But let me not get preachy with you. I'm going to share a 1-minute video about Scholar Up Mentoring Academy just to usher in our events today. And after that, then we're going to get the party started. Like I promised, we're going to try to be here in like the next hour. Out of here in the next hour.
Success begins with the right guidance and opportunities. And at Scholar Up Mentoring Academy, we are here to help you unlock your full potential. Whether you're preparing for graduate school applications or building a standout professional presence on LinkedIn, we provide the tools and support you need to thrive. Our programs are designed to help you craft a compelling personal brand, position yourself for global opportunities, and achieve your dreams. Led by Dr. Amaka Ifaduba, a dedicated mentor and coach, Scholar Up empowers you with personalized mentoring, actionable resources, and proven strategies to take bold steps toward a brighter future. Scholar Up Mentoring Academy is more than a program. It's a community dedicated to helping you succeed. Take the first step today and discover how we can guide you on your journey to greatness. Follow our page for updates and access all our resources at linktree.com/scholarupacademy. Your success story starts here.
Okay, so let's get this show on the road. I hope you are as eager as I am. So I see so many other people have joined. Donna says hello to us. Donna, where are you joining us from? Thank you for being here. And then David says hello, well done, Dr. Amaka and Dr. Augusta. Thank you so much for being here. So I'm going to welcome Ukeme. She's backstage. She's been excited to be here with us, and we are really so honored to have her. And just I'm going to share a little bit about her before we get our conversation started. There's a lot to share, really, but I'm just going to keep it brief. So Ukeme, she is said if you're looking for a straight path to success, then she's not your blueprint, right? I think that's just, let's get that out of the way. If you're looking for a straight path, she's not your blueprint. She's going to be your breakthrough. She's a trailblazer. She's lived in 8 cities across 4 countries and built a career defined by bold pivots and fearless leadership. From manufacturing plants to boardrooms to city hall, Ukeme's path has been anything but conventional. She started her career as an engineer, became a partner at a big national law firm, and made history as the first person of color to be elected to city council in her city's 103 years existence. Today, she leads as mayor and council president. When she's not shaping policy, she's shaping minds. As the assistant dean for global perspective at the Ohio State University Morris College of Law, Ukeme prepares the next generation of legal leaders to thrive in a globalized world. A proud Nigerian immigrant. That's the sweetest part, right? I think the sweetest part for me is that okay, she's Nigerian, so if she can do it, then we have somebody that we can say that let's keep following. Then maybe we too we can do it. A proud Nigerian immigrant, Ukeme now calls Upper Arlington, Ohio, home, where she's raising her 2 children and a COVID era dog who is never known a world without constant company at home. Okay. She's also the award-winning author of Immigrant. I have that book. It's such a wonderful book, right? If you don't have Immigrant, probably you have to share the link of where people can get the book before the end of this conversation so that we can put it on the chat, so that for people who need to get this book. Immigrant is really a book that talks about identity, grit, reimagining leadership through the lived experience of an immigrant. And her work has really gone so many places, right? Ukeme, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today in this conversation. I know how busy you are, right? So I feel very honored that you said yes and you're here ready to answer my questions. I feel like this event is for me, that the other people who are here, they are just going to hear the gist that is between, because I'm really curious to learn a whole lot from you. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence. And I'm just going to jump right in because I don't want to keep you for longer than is necessary. You have so many people in the chat. So I'm going to be looking at the chat. If you see me looking that other way, it's because I'm trying to see what's happening in the chat. Do let us know at any point you have a question, you have an input. I'm going to be monitoring it and then I'll bring the chat back to the conversation. So, first question. I'm so excited. So can you really walk us through your journey? Because it's very confusing for me how you went from engineering to law. Me, I don't know how you made that. How you went from engineering to law, and then you eventually entered public office. And now you are a dean in the university. Like, come on, Ukeme, tell us, please.
Yeah.
Help me understand how that journey started from being an immigrant student to where you are right now. How did you do it?
Wow. Well, first of all, Dr. Amaka, Dr. Gash, for having me here on this Saturday. And to everyone logging in, I imagine many different time zones. So, like one of my favorite poets, Jay-Z, says, you could have been anywhere in the world. And so appreciate story of this of
Isn't me or
the immigrants that are in the United States.
Can you hear how Augusta?
I really hear you.
Can you hear how clearly? It's breaking. It's kind of breaking.
Okay, is this better?
Yeah, it's not.
Let me get back
Yeah,
closer.
yeah. There's a lot of background noise.
Oh no. Oh no. All right. How's this?
But this is better. Yeah.
I just changed internal mic and I have this, so I always kind of have the backup. But so when I immigrated here, is this better? Am I good?
Yes. Yeah. Good.
Okay.
Good.
When I immigrated here for college. A third of people that immigrated to the United States better opportunity. One reason to meet family, but the second reason is for education. And so I came here, and my parents were, Nigerian parents. You're coming for an education. things that I could be. It was engineer, it was doctor, and it was a professor. But to be a professor, of course, you have to have your PhD in a single subject. Engineer, FGGC, I was STEM track. You know, you choose whether you're going to be a scientist. And so I became a. Your faces are showing me that there's concern. Is it everything okay? Y'all can still hear me?
It's the mic. The mic goes back and forth. It goes in and out.
Oh, jeez.
When
that happens.
Yeah, I don't know if it's your network. It's more of a network. Yeah, and I think they already it's like there's a network issue. Ramosole say we must hear her today, or we bind the network. Yes, so we are binding. Let's start prayers. Let's start the prayers. Yes, I don't know if it's like a Wi-Fi.
I can change my hotspot. Yeah. Right. Do you mind you guys talking and let me see that?
Yes,
because
please.
Sorry, I was traveling today, and so I'm in a different office. And I just set this.
Right. If you could change that, I think that would be great. I could keep us engaged. I'm very engaging like that.
keep them
Augusta, we know.
Try a different Wi-Fi.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you. All right, so back to the chat. I'm looking and I see we have quite a number of people here. I'm just curious to ask everyone here. You came into this event today. Could you tell me in the chat what is like the most important thing you're hoping to get out of this event today, right? From the topic already gives you an intro to what we are talking about. We are trying to really go into someone's journey who has done some things that most of us will say is almost impossible, right? It's somehow when you think about it in your head, that someone comes in as a student from engineering, they go and become a partner in law, and somehow they end up being a city mayor and then a dean in the university. That's a lot of moving around. So I'm wondering if you could share with me, right? If you could share with me in the chat what you are really hoping to get out of this event today. And I guess I'm going to ask the same question to Augusta, who has done a bit of transition in herself, right? So, and I would say for us, we are still in the middle of that transition, right? You're still kind of on your journey to transitioning. What are you hoping to get out of this event while our friends in the chat respond? Okay, I think she's back, but let me add her up. Yeah, Augusta, yes, you can keep going just so we verify.
Okay, she's back.
Yeah, can you hear us now? I think
I can hear you guys fine. Can you guys hear me?
Is it better? It is better.
I have all sorts of backup technology. I'm used to this. See, it's like this network doesn't work. We're on
that is the great, right? That is the great. Thank you so much for having all of these backups. Sometimes technology is enough to mess up a really well put together event, because sometimes there's nothing people can do if they don't have backup. But we hear you loud and clear, and I'll probably just let you get back to it so that we can just keep our time going and we can.
Of course.
So you remember my question? Back to the story.
I do remember your question. So, I immigrated to the United States for college. It's the second reason most people choose to come to the United States, to further their education. The number one reason is family reunification. So you're coming to meet family. And the second is, education. So I was in that bucket of people that came for education. As immigrant parents, when I was immigrating here, my parents, they had three things that I could become. I could become an engineer, I could become a doctor, or I could become a professor. Those are the three things. If there's any immigrants in here, you kind of understand, right? They're not sending you. I remember my mom saying, well, you're not going far away to do arts. And I'm like, okay. so
has to be something worthy.
Has to be something worth it. So I did engineering, mechanical engineering. I had gone to FGGC. And for those that go to secondary school in Nigeria, kind of know in SS1, you pick a track. You're either a science kid or you're an art kid. And so I was in the STEM track. So engineering was an easy thing to do. People often ask why mechanical engineering as opposed to all the other kinds of engineering. It's kind of pretty simple. And Dr. Amaka, you said this earlier. When you see something, you believe it's possible. I remember when I was debating what I wanted to do, and I almost went to Futo in Nigeria. The University of Technology, where,
Right.
right? I almost went there. And so I'm telling my dad I'm not quite sure what engineering I want to do. And my dad at the time, worked with a female mechanical engineer, and he invited her over for dinner. And all of a sudden, I saw the possibility of being a mechanical engineer because I had seen another female mechanical engineer. So I came into college, I chose that as my major, and that's the course, and I did. Well, when you come as an international student at 18, you don't quite know everything. Don't know that after your student visa, you got to figure out your OPT, and then you got to figure out H1 and all these kind of things, right? But I was very fortunate because there's CPT, the curriculum practical training when you're in university that you can use. I was very fortunate that at the time I used my CPT for an internship, I had a mentor that said, during your interviewing process, you get that year for your OPT, but be very vocal. Don't be shy about what you need. You need an employer that can sponsor your H1B. So STEM, yes, you can technically find jobs easier, but you still need an employer that is willing to go to bat for you. Well, we all kind of know how those applications are. I now say you don't necessarily need an employer. You need a leader who is going to stand in the gap for you. That's kind of what I found with the employer I ended up with. So I got a job right out of college, yay me, but I was able to use my OPT. And I ended up with a leader that I had a very good relationship with during the interviewing process. I didn't know him from Adam. I met him during the interviewing process. And I had a bunch of different places I could have gone, but I ended up working for George Pacific in pulp and paper manufacturing. Right. My dream when I became a mechanical engineer was to be a car designer, to end up with one of the big threes. But I ended up in pulp and paper because I liked the leader. It was a good leader. And Joey, I talk about Joey in my book, Immigrant, had never didn't even understand the immigration process, but was willing to hear it, was willing to understand how it worked, and was willing to go to bat for me when headquarters, because I wasn't in corporate headquarters, I was in a plant in Maine, when headquarters were like, can't you find another person? This is an entry level engineer. You got to be able to find some other entry level engineer. And Joey was able to go to bat to say, no, this is the engineer I actually want on this project. And so it was through him, through a good leader, that he got, because he had the leadership, he had the connections to corporate, to the C-suite. So he could say, this is the employee that I want, and this is the person you're going to file the paperwork for. And that's what Joey did, and that's how I was able to get my H1. And I worked as an engineer for almost a decade. But you kind of get into the work, and you're like, I can't see myself doing this for the next 40 years of my life. My dad's a biochemist. He was with the same company his entire life, and that's the model I knew. You found a good company, you stayed with it, and you got your pension and whatever. But most of the time I was in steel toe boots, a hard hat. I like nice clothes. I like the lifestyle wasn't lifestyling. Is that how the young kids say it these days? Everything about the job, the pay was great. But I didn't see a lot of people like me. I was with a lot of men in the field. And every time I tried to do a different job within the corporation, it was kind of like the more senior I got, the more people were like, no, you are really good at this thing and we want you to do this thing. So I knew if I wanted a different path for myself, I almost had to shake things up. I almost had to seek it on my own, because people make you an expert in their mind and people create career paths for you. So if you want something else, you're going to have to create that path for yourself. And so I had worked with a bunch of, because I was a project engineer, process engineer, I'd worked with a bunch of, and I was in research and development. I did development in the engineering space. I worked with a bunch of intellectual property attorneys. And so these are attorneys that are responsible for bringing new products and services to market from a legal perspective. So they put the licensing deals in place, they put the operations deals in place. And I thought, what a great way to leverage my engineering background and do law school. And so that was the pivot. Was I, when you become so deep into the sciences, right? I like math formulas. I don't like reading. I didn't even know I had the capability to read 100 pages before and a case study and debrief it before class the next day. But I knew that if I wanted a different career path, this was something I was going to have. And so I went back on a F1 visa, went back on a student visa, ran out my work visa, went back on a student visa, and went to law school. And that's how I became a lawyer. And I started the process again. That's how I went to law school. I was in this country for almost 20 years before I became a naturalized citizen. So I only just got my citizenship in 2017. Yeah. And I've been in the country since 1999. So
Wow.
I like to tell people that, because it's not it wasn't this short road, right? It was, I've often had people say to me, man, you pivoted careers and you didn't take a break to say basket water weaving or sit in a yoga retreat somewhere. And I'm like, you can't do that as an immigrant, right? There's always this cloud of status. You don't want to be out of legal status. And so when I hear news about immigration and all this stuff, I'm like, you think people are just out here being legal? No, there's a lot of stress in the process to keep your paperwork in line.
Yeah, you're speaking the language. You're just I think you're talking about some of the things me and Augusta talk about, behind the scenes, and it's really true. Most of the time, people don't get it, and people will say, "Oh, you are so driven. Oh, you are so strong," and I say it's because you really don't have a choice. Like being
Yes.
strong, sometimes, like, what's the alternative? Giving up and packing your bags and going home? How
Yes.
is that a good choice, right? Yeah, so I think that's a journey that is not that story is not told enough, is what I think. I think the journey of immigration, the journey of immigrants, and what they have to live through, and how that equips them. I think that's something
Mm-hmm.
powerful about your book, because people don't understand who you become in that process. Because
Yes.
you're used to getting to the point where you take blows and you cry, you break down for a minute, and you pick up yourself and you keep moving, because what are you going to do? So that leads to my next question: is what motivated you to pursue leadership role, though? Like
Yeah.
Nigerian
Yeah.
woman wanting to be a city mayor. Is that not too
Yeah.
ambitious? I'm sure you would have gotten that a lot. I'm just kind of re-echoing some of the things you would have gotten. But what was the motivation to go into
Yeah.
leadership, go into public office?
Mm-hmm. So along the way, I had two beautiful children. My daughter is now 12 years old, and my son is 8 years old. When my daughter was 5, getting ready for kindergarten, I decided to move to a different community. And a lot of the reasons for that move was centered on the children. So when you think good schools, I wanted to be in a neighborhood with great schools. I didn't want to be too far away from downtown where I worked. I wanted parks and rec, what you see in the movie, you go for a walk in the evening, so the sidewalks. I wanted safety. So I had these ideals that I wanted in the community, and that led me to the community I live in now, and the community that I serve now, and that's Upper Arlington, which is in Central Ohio. And so I moved to this community, and I've my when I came to college in the United States, I went to Maine, University of Maine. That was the first time that I think I understood color or race, and I didn't understand that till 18, right? I was 18. I grew up in Nigeria. Everyone's black. You see the expat and they are the minority, right? Race wasn't a construct or concept for me. I never felt inhibited by my race. If anything, I felt more hindered by my gender, because we know in Nigeria, you still have to be
Right.
able to do the kitchen things, no matter how smart you are. We want smart women, but you still got to be able to cook the soup. So if anything, I was a little bit more inhibited by felt kind of constricted by my gender, not my race. And so for the first time, at the age of 18, understanding how intelligence is attached to race. And it was wild to me, but I'd never understood those dynamics in a young child. And so the community I live in right now is 91% white. 1.3% of my community is black, so looks like me, and 7%
Wow.
is a population of color, Asian, mixed race, those kind of things. So it's a majority white city, and uh, thanks to redlining, historically, black and Jews were not allowed to live in my 70 when that law was abolished by the Supreme Court on
Wow.
redlining. I didn't understand a lot of this history when I moved in the community. I just knew the other things, the great schools, the parks and rec, the proximity to downtown, the beautiful homes. And so when I got to this community and my daughter started kindergarten, because kindergarten is your first school in the United States. When she started kindergarten, she came home about 2 months after starting kindergarten, and she was like, "Mom, can you straighten my hair for school tomorrow?" Um, Now we like I don't know when we all got perms, but that didn't happen for me till much later in life. Like straightening hair is not a concept that we talked about in the house, so it was a very very strange for her to ask. And it, as a mom, it prompted me to try to figure out what was going on with her. Why would she ask such a odd question? Well, it led me to understand that what she was trying to do is she thought she could change physical attributes of herself. So if she had straight hair, she looked more like the people in her class. I didn't realize she was the only black girl in her kindergarten class. And so in doing all these things for her at 5, you have to think the mind of a 5-year-old. They don't have the vocabulary. They don't understand race as a construct. She just thought if I do that, I would belong better. And so that sprung me into action as a mom that had chosen this community as my community of choice. And so I started to do grassroots leading. So I talked at schools. I said, hey, what books are people reading? What people understand about culture, about being black? And the reality is because it wasn't the advantage point, there wasn't this. When I started having these conversations, that it was met with a lot of curiosity. It was met with a lot of, wow, didn't realize what we didn't know, didn't realize what we didn't do, didn't realize the people we didn't serve because we just have this majority lens. And so when I 3 years into living in the community, a seat was coming up on city council. This was 2021. We had just gotten through the pandemic, and everyone remembers George Floyd, which impacted me because, I have a black son. And I just felt it in my spirit that I needed to be in the room that policy was doled out. I also inspired by Hamilton. I'm a big fan of Hamilton, the soundtrack Hamilton. There's a song there, The Room Where It Happens. No one was in the room where it happened. The room where it's a beautiful song. You should listen to the entire Hamilton track, but that particular song is there's a room in which these policies, in which these laws, in which the things that impact our lives, there's a room that those things are created, right? Shirley Chisholm, which was the first black female that ran for president, she has this quote that I absolutely love. If no one invites you to the table, bring your own folding chair.
Mm,
Because
mm,
it's true. A lot of times we wait to be invited to these rooms. We wait to be in these rooms that they happen. And you got to figure out how to get yourself into that room. And getting yourself into
mm,
that room meant I needed to run for office, meant I needed to be elected. And so I knew nothing about politics. And, coming from Nigeria, there's definitely a stigma attached to politics, right? But I knew politics here in the United States is where things happen, is where the laws and policies that impact the life that my daughter has, how she grows up in this community, economic inclusion, those kind of things were happening in a particular room. And so I ran for office. I ran for
wow.
office.
Wow. That's very deep. It's like I'm just kind of absorbing the words that you're saying. And it's true. It's sometimes I think it's very easy for us to say there's nothing I can do about it. It's always very easy to take that stand of like, well, you said 1.3% is black. It's like, what courage, what confidence, how did you even get elected? I guess that's my curiosity. It's like, 91% is black and you don't even have your own people to rally
Yeah.
around you, like the normal way.
Right.
How did you
Right.
manage to go that path? What were some of those challenges and some of those
Hmm.
struggles that you had to overcome and just kind of say, I'm just going to keep going, and then
Yeah.
how did you, yeah.
Um, so our biggest the I now, they call it leading fearlessly, there's a speech I give on leading fearlessly. The reality of leadership or taking bold steps is that um, you are willing to fail. So, was failure a possibility in running for office? I mean, it's a very, very public thing. People go to the polls and vote. And at the end of the day, you either have the votes or you don't, right? It's a very public failure. Most people are not willing to fail publicly. And for
Sure.
me, I knew I had to own the outcome regardless. So I
Mm.
had to face the fact that fear, I had to face the fact that failure was a possibility. That's how I overcame that fear. In fact, what I did with my sister is like, I booked a trip to Paris so I could be so very far away. If I didn't win the next day, that would be one way to not have to face the face. So we think about how, if this works, fantastic. But if this doesn't work, I still own it,
Mm. I
right?
think that's a
That
mindset.
that's the
That's a
risk.
mindset.
That's
Yeah.
the risk that you're
Mm.
taking, the risk of this failure. And humans are inherently afraid of public embarrassment, of failure. And so, because of that, we tend to not begin. The courage really is in overcoming the fear, it's not in taking the step,
Mm. Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
and so, and so, once I, in my mind, because there were a lot of factors that said there's no way you could win. You're 3 years in. You have no name recognition in the community. You've never served in any other office, not even like an appointed board seat somewhere. You've never done that. Yes, you've led within corporations. And I had to say to myself, I've led within corporations, so I know how to be a leader. And how do I share that story that I know how to do that? Uh, and I had actually gone on a walk with a don of politics. Like, he had served in the city, and everyone said, "Oh, you need to talk to him." And he himself had told me, you need you need a few more years. Why don't you do this instead? Appointed to this commission, and then only when do you do those things can you run for office. So another way of saying you haven't done enough yet. So
Mm.
I had to sit within myself and say I could move this needle by trying. And then I had to rally my people. So I had three ladies, and I talk about them and I write about them a lot, that believed in me and were willing to take the risk with me. There's that
Mm.
African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so you got to rally your people too when you're about to do these very risky, very bold things. You can do bad all by yourself, no doubt. And I've done a lot of great things by myself, but really the most significant accomplishments I've ever had, I had it on by rallying my people to believe in me. Those three
Right.
women that started the journey with me, we built a coalition up to 75 people. We knocked on almost all the 14,000 houses in Upper Arlington.
Wow.
We it was a grassroots effort because no one would have taken the chance on a name like Ukeme in a community that didn't look like me. But they needed to see and hear my story. And I knew that once that happened, they would vote for me. It was just getting to their doors. And it took people to do that. It took people to do that.
Wow. That's beyond I don't know what to say. It's just it's hard to fathom in my mind that you had the willingness to kind of push through. But then I think it's all about seeing what the outcome you were trying to achieve. And for you, you were motivated. You were thinking about your children and their future, and that became like the push for you. I think we've had a couple of questions in the chat, which I'll kind of get
Yeah.
you to respond to quickly. And Annie says, "Do you see yourself going back to live in Nigeria?" Well,
Oh
I
my
think I know the
goodness.
answer to
That
that.
is
But
a
well,
great
Annie wants
question.
to know. Annie, you're in the UK. Are you seeing yourself going back to Nigeria? Tell me too in the chat. I'd like to know
And
any.
so let me tell you what, my parents live in Nigeria. I have cousins and I still have very, very strong ties to Nigeria. In fact, I was in Nigeria twice last year. Um, so I go back and I visit often. I think if there's an opportunity to serve in a very real way in Nigeria, um, I would be open to the opportunity to do so. But there's a lot. Part of what people love about America is that you don't have to have this pedigree. Again, think about it. I lived in this community for 3 years, and this community were the ones that went to the polls and voted for me. Right? There's a very pedigree thing about Nigeria. Like it's who you
Mm.
know, you've got to be appointed, you got to kiss the ring. Um, that actually irritates me about my beloved country. And so, I think about our politicians and they're old and they're gray. I'm like, where's the young voices? Where are the ones that get, like, why haven't we created infrastructure for them to also have a seat at the table? And there's no real possibility to pull up your folding chair in Nigeria, right? So your question is acknowledged, and I think if there's opportunities to, I will.
Yeah, well, I think that's you could not have given a better answer because I hear your sentiments, right? I was in Nigeria and I was lecturing in Nigeria, and you just look at it and sometimes you don't see a future. That's just the
Hmm.
thing, because if you could see that future, then you wanted to stay and make a real difference. But I think the frustration is with kind of reaching the point where you realize that you cannot do much. You
Right.
couldn't do anything, like your hands were tied. And then I
Yeah.
think Eremosele has a question, which is kind of linked to the next question I was trying to ask you, which is
Hmm.
how some of the mindset shifts, because
Yeah.
something had to have pushed you. He's trying to say, what is the driving force between this 20 years journey that made you hold on to the ball so hard, like you kind of
Yeah.
held on,
Yeah.
like that? What were some of those mindset shifts that made this possible for you to pull off?
Um. Well, this is gonna get this is gonna get a little bit I get a little bit emotional. I have there's been a lot of in Nigeria's. I think this happens. There's been a lot of young deaths in my get one shot at life, right? And so I often always think about giving life my all. And I'm my own biggest hindrance, and I'm also my own biggest competitor, right? So I think the drive, and when people say, "Oh man, you're so driven," and you hold on to that ball and you keep going and you don't get tired, it's that I know I get one shot at this thing called life, and it's not a dress rehearsal. Uh, and so I'm gonna get. I'm gonna. There's something that a friend once said to me, and I love this. Is she said, "Isn't it a shame? It wouldn't be a shame to die with gifts within you, gifts that you could have given the world. Wouldn't that be an utter shame?" And I've always, so there's an urgency in which I live life in knowing I get one shot at this, and I'm going to give it my absolute best every single time. That's that. And you look up and you're like, oh, it's been 20 years. It's been 20 years of going hard. You just don't really realize. You just know that you got today, and today is the best you got, and yesterday's already gone, and so you give today your best without knowing tomorrow, and you keep doing that, and before you know it, time is passing.
Oh wow, yeah. I think that's really so true. It's all about having that understanding that we're not going to get out alive, right? None of us
No, we all
will.
have the same exit
Yeah,
plan.
we
We all
are
have the
gonna
same
get out
exit
alive.
plan.
So it's just a case of like striving towards dying empty, more or less. Leave a legacy is how I see it. I always
Yeah.
believe that whatever good we put out into the world is just about leaving a legacy, and the life we live in some shape or form must really go beyond me, myself, and I, and my little family, and my. It has to just go beyond that. Augusta, at any point you want to chime in something, you could come in and what's your take on the conversation so far? You could briefly say something and then we can just finish the second half. I see you soaking it all in, and she's very emotional. She's going to start crying.
Yeah. Uh, so I'm just like, when you people say like think that I got into people my story of how I moved from medicine to communication, public health. edtech, and they're like, "Why are you doing this? Like, why did you leave medicine?" And there's something you said that resonated with me. Like, you didn't see yourself in that position for the next 20 years, and
Mhm.
this is your life. It's up to you to decide how you want to live it. So I'm not going to just keep on investing time and energy because I'm already here and this is where I am. So I'm just gonna have to live with it. I want to live life on my own terms, and I want to like make my decisions and make the impact I feel like I want to make, not the impact that people expect me to make because of my degree or my experience or where I'm from. So I was really feeling that I'm just taking it all in. I'm enjoying this show. So I'm like,
I could
I'm
see it in your face, like I could literally look at your face and it's like, oh, she's getting really emotional. And
you know, when
I
Amaka
could
said to
really,
the flyer, I was like, this person looks like my auntie.
yeah, that's what she said. She was like, oh, yeah, she
This
looks like
is
her
my
auntie.
auntie. Like,
Hey, I love it.
Yeah,
I see
that's you. You're
just
right.
there.
Yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
true. I think it sometimes is perception. I've had to deal with that myself, where people perceive you a certain way and they feel like this is what is best for you. And you were saying it doesn't feel good. And
Yeah.
somehow, nobody wants to hear you. And if it's, oh, you're wasting your life or you're throwing away your life, why are you doing this? You should be doing this and not that. And well, it's a struggle. There's a lot to learn. I guess my next question is, how was your experience as an immigrant? How do you think it's shaping your approach to community leadership? What do you bring
Yeah.
with you, that it's making it different?
Um, your vantage points, your lived experience. I think sometimes leaders throw that away because there's a expectation on what executive presence is and the things you say. And we almost forget the things we've lived, right? So resilience is not just a buzzword to me. I've lived it. Like I know what that is. Um, Perseverance, right? I know what that is. And so highlighting for people, sharing um, for people what some of those experiences are, because understanding they may not have had that vantage point. That's kind of like what some people call authenticity. Some people, there's different phrases for it. But I think you rob people of not showing them your lens on how you view the issue, your lens on why you're making the decision the way you're making the decision. We all lead from a vantage point, right? And I'm not shy of leaning into the vantage point in which I lead from.
Hmm. Yeah, I think Ifeoluwa is asking a question. He says
Mm,
he's curious. He said, do you still face a bit of racism, particularly in decision making in your city? If yes, how do you deal with this? Because
yeah,
91% white and
yeah.
90 that like, is everybody nice and good?
Goodness. So this is such a great question. Um,
Mhm.
I I think it's different now that I'm elected, right? When I was campaigning, I did. When I was campaigning, there were a lot of comments about it. There was a lot of very targeted racism. There were a lot of letters and notes that I received that said, "Go back to your country" and all this stuff. But when
Um,
there is a power in elections, like I was elected, it's like the majority of the people said, "You're
Elected,
our leader."
yeah, right.
Um, so I lead with that power, almost like it's not like I don't have this. What is that phrase that people use? Is it it's not the insecurity. It's a phrase that I don't even know. Some complex people use. The phrase will come to me because I've never understood it and why
Imposter.
people. Yes, imposter syndrome. I don't even
Yeah.
understand it. Right? I don't get to experience that because I'm like I walk in with the power of I was elected. The people elected me. The people trusted me to lead. Um, I also I think it's also language matters. So when I make decisions or when I'm coalescing conversations around trying to understand a particular issue before I make a decision, um, I will set the stage by telling people why I made the decision, what it was, what factors led me. So there's always this transparency in how I reached my decision that I think helps. I think helps people dispel what could have been said. I'll give an example. We recently had this. We recently invested like 12 million into our tennis court facilities within the city. Now, clay tennis, the original tennis courts were built in my community. Again, I live in a 110-year-old community, so it's a very, very legacy community. We had these 12 clay tennis courts, but data showed that the usage of these tennis courts were not as they were back in the day, and pickleball is on the rise. I don't have pickleball courts within my community, and so I was going to have to make a decision on in using this 12 million for redevelopment, again taxpayers money, and I'm going to be I think we should put in pickleball courts because there's a need for that. Well, you would have thought that I was waging World War III, right? It's legacy. These are the courts this is the way we've always done things. And so we slowed the process down. We took feedback from the community. How many people play pickleball? Well, pickleball was rising. The data shows that our community members are commuting outside of the city to play set pickleball. We want them to live, play, work, spend their money within our city. It helps us as a community. And so it's a hard decision. I mean, we were in the paper, all this kind of stuff. But, I had the calling, do not reelect, it had all of that. But I was able to show that we had listened to the community. We had made the decisions based on fact. And yes, I don't know very much about pickleball and tennis is not my vantage point, but I know how to listen and I know how to make good decisions based on the information that I hear. And I think when you start to establish a history of that, then racism goes out the window. People just see you as a good leader or a bad leader, one or the
Right.
other. And it's
One or the
less
other.
about your color and more about how they feel about the decisions that you make.
Wow, yeah, I think that's yeah, it just takes a journey to get to that point, and then
Yeah,
just trying to have some history, more or less, that people could look back on and say, okay, this is who she is, and eventually, yeah, it's no longer about color; it's about what you do as a person, and
correct.
that's really really true. And one other thing I want to ask you is, what advice would you give to immigrants, especially those who don't have your 20 years journey now, those who have
Yeah.
3 years in and 4 years in, and it's a struggle, and it's tough, and people reach a point where they begin to ask themselves questions. I've asked myself if it's worth it so many times, if I'm being totally
Yeah.
honest, right? On very bad days, on very difficult days, there's always that question of, is it even worth it? And then somehow you still have to find the strength to keep going. How do you advise immigrants, especially those who find themselves on that path of career reinvention, career transition, where the
Mhm.
expectations are different from what they want to do, and they still have to navigate the American paperwork, the whole status thing, and all of those things? How do you really, guide them through this journey? I guess this question is for me.
Yeah. No. I I say immigrants, we have to learn how to use our voices for our own good. My life completely changed when I learned how to use my voice. Um, and by that, I mean, some of it is also vulnerability, some of it is finding the networks and using your voice quickly within that network. We as immigrants, we tend to think we can work our hard work our way into it. We can, show value into it. Sometimes we need to stop, use our voice to check in. Is this the path? Does this work get me here? Right? There's no point in staying the route and putting your head down and working without using your voice to check in and make sure that it's going to get you the thing that you want. Today, we all have desires. We all know what we want. We're just afraid to share it sometimes. And so we learn to use our voice and find the right people um, to share that our needs with. People are always willing to help, or they know someone who can. Lovey Ajayi, I don't know if you know her. She's a Nigerian American author. She says this prayer, which I've started to say, and it absolutely works. And she always says, "May my people find me." I think if we say that prayer more, the universe is always willing to give you what you need. You just have to pray the prayer. May my people find me. And when said person finds you, closed mouths don't get fed. Use your voice. That's my that's
Yeah.
my that's my big thing with immigrants. I see it so much that we don't use our voice.
I agree. I think you're absolutely correct. I think there's something about and maybe especially those of us from Nigeria or some other countries where you've really had it so difficult and you just feel like you're going to power through. It's like just as you said, put your head down, keep going. And sometimes it's just as though asking for help is even weakness. Honestly, I think I've had to deal with that myself, so I know where you feel like really opening up to people and saying I'm not okay. It feels like
Yeah.
weakness. It feels like you're failing. It feels like something is wrong with you. But sometimes that's all you need. All you need is like
Yeah.
the right person who hears your problem and they can escalate it and things change. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that's really really very valid. Augusta, you want to chime in something at any point? Let me know. So you could. Yeah, I'm always kind of looking at your face to see.
Okay, okay. Because like everything you're saying, it just keeps reminding me of the post I made on Juneteenth, like June
Mm.
19th. And I feel like it's worthy to just maybe say a few lines from it, if you don't mind.
Okay.
It's gonna take a
Sure.
minute.
Please do.
Please give us
So
hit
the
us with
post
it.
goes like this: Black, African, immigrant, woman. Each of these identities come with its own set of challenges. Combine two or more, and it feels like you're in a world that wasn't built for you. But it doesn't have to stay that way. You have the power to shift the narrative, to thrive, to break barriers, to build your own path, to thrive despite the odds. And I have some ideas to help you become more integrated in a society that makes you feel excluded. Number one, lead a cause. Be the change you want to see. If something feels wrong, step up. Don't just sit and wait for things to be ideal. Number two, you're not ready to lead, join. Join a cause you believe in and dive in. Don't just join. Give time, give energy, give fully. Your time, energy, and passion can make a difference. Number three, learn the rules. Be an example, be a model. You're more than a stereotype. Understand the systems around you, follow them with integrity, not submission. Find your
Hmm,
people. Community is your anchor. Be active and make your impact felt. Seek
hmm,
out spaces where your voice is heard. You belong, you matter, and the world needs to hear what only you can offer. You don't get to
hmm.
choose your race, your nationality, your country of birth, or gender, but you get to choose your action. What do you choose?
Deep,
Love
deep,
that.
deep,
Ooh,
deep.
take us to
That's a
church. I didn't even
that's a
find it.
TED talk. Chills. Preach,
That's
lady,
how
preach.
I'm feeling during this.
Like
Yeah.
fire, like literally, Augusta.
Yes.
That was really good. That is so good. I think that kind of ties into all the conversation we are having
Mm.
today. That there's really so much we can't choose, right? Honestly, there
Yes.
are times I used to wish I'm a man. If I'm being honest, you just wish like I feel like men have it easier. It's like just make money, and it's like you've met the bar more or less, and things like that. But truly, the only thing we can really choose are the things we do. That's really like our circle of influence. Beyond the
Mhm.
things you do, how you respond, how you react, every other thing, there's not much you can do about it. And so it's very important that we really stop the passivity, just get out of that state of being passive, of like, there's nothing I can do. Oh, poor me. Oh, poor me. I
Yeah.
think that makes the difference. I would ask again, how do you use your personal story to inspire and lead others? You kind of talked about it, but I want you to
Yeah.
like because you've had all these experiences and now you're a leader leading in different places. You are an assistant dean in the college. And how did that
Yeah.
even come about? How did you go from mayor to
Yeah.
a dean in the college? I saw that. I was like, oh wow, congratulations. The journey is at it again. So I'm kind of curious. So how do you use that now? Because now you are in
Yeah.
public office and then you are in the university. So you kind
University.
of have more direct leadership with younger people now, I suppose, being in the
Hmm.
university setting. Yeah.
Yeah. The pivot to academia was very intentional, but it was a look at my lifestyle, and I love public service. But public service, unlike in Nigeria, where there might be a lot of corrupt leaders, y'all don't come hang me. But then I always say, if you see a rich politician in America, it's because they crooked. But public service does not pay. And so I still keep a career of some sort, but I wanted my career to also be one of impact. And so therefore, that's why I made the pivot to academia. It's kind of a way to kind of use everything I've learned to inspire the next generation because I've seen what's out there, right? Um, but now I do a lot of public speaking, right? This platform as mayor has given me that opportunity to do that, to just get on stages, to have impact that way. Through keynote speaking, I do workshops for corporations. I talk a lot again about that vantage point from leading as an immigrant and what leadership skills really are. Right? We say executive presence, but we are thinking about no accent, right? Looking a certain way. I mean, I've worn my hair natural since I realized that getting a weave back then was like $300 or something like that. And I was like, I ain't got that kind of money. And so I just said to keep it natural. Dr. Augusta, do you feel attacked? I'm just saying, it was just a lot of money. I just was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I love you all.
No,
I
we
love
just
you
we
all.
just wear a wig. We just wear a wig. You don't want to know what's under the wig.
So, but
Yeah.
but there's a particular expectation that you're pressed and you're this and you're that,
Right.
and those are not the things that make a leader. So how do I help corporations you know? So that's how I kind of use the platform now. And lately I've been thinking, because I do get a lot of people in my inbox and I cannot keep up with social media. Dr. Amaka, you have to teach me your ways. You do it so well. But I'm thinking I might even just host workshops to just help some other people as well along the journey. But for right now, my big thing is keynote speeches and workshops within corporations.
Wow, that's great. That's wonderful. I
Mhm.
think Ifolowa say he has a last question. He says,
Okay.
how were you able to stay resolute? I think that was similar question to Eremosele's
Yeah.
question. Say without yielding to the temptation of returning to
Temptation.
Nigeria. If at all it
Man,
crossed your
you hit
mind,
a
it's
point.
crossed my
Oh,
own
well, you
mind.
hit a point.
I
I
don't know about
almost
your own
did.
mind.
I
Yeah.
almost did. There were moments where I literally was looking at, okay, what does it look like if I move back to Nigeria? I'm not gonna lie to you and say that those moments did not come. I can think about two instances in which they did. And I don't know what your faith base is. I just think God had other plans and other things came through, and that's how those didn't come to fruition. But they certainly there again. Because sometimes, I've got ego. I'm from a country after all. Like I've got parents. I have a house like in Nigeria. Like they'll welcome me back. This ain't even the prodigal child. Like I've done good. I can go back to Nigeria. I certainly have that kind of pride once in a while. But things ultimately worked out and allowed me to continue to stay and continue to push forward. So
Wow, yeah, thank you. I think Ramosole had something to say. He said, listening to you just gives him so much power now. I'm glad. Say, I'm a foundation
yay.
governor for the council school in my community. I'm the only person of color amongst core British. And to be a Black Nigerian man with my African accent, I still make my contributions. Thank you so much. I'm glad you are empowered. That's the whole
Yeah.
point of that's really, for me, this is a public service, right? This is a social impact. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy to
Yeah.
host conversations such as this because I feel like sometimes you don't know what you don't know, right? And sometimes we don't know when we need to kind of hold on to other people's strengths because our own strength is failing us. And then you just
Yeah.
look and say, oh, somehow that person made it through. That's
Yeah.
enough for me not to give up. Yeah, it may feel so tough now, but they made it through. They kept going. They also had all the obstacles. They had all the reasons to kind of quit on themselves, but they didn't. So that's enough
Yeah.
for me to just keep going. And then Veronica says she has a takeaway from the event. Thank you. I like students who are really all in and giving their takeaway. So her takeaway from the session is use your voice to tell people what you want and build networks that will help you go where you want. Thank you. I'm so glad
Amen.
I'm joined.
Yeah.
Yes, Veronica,
Yeah.
you are right. You are absolutely right. I cannot tell you what sometimes having access to the right network, what difference it makes. Sometimes it makes all the difference. Just having the right person hear what you need, right, at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to
Mm-hmm.
ask you. I know you kind of brushed this at the beginning, but I'm very big on mentoring. I talk about my own journey all the
Yeah.
time. You never hear me maybe go on a talk, invited on a talk, and I don't tell the story of my mentor because I always say I would have
Mm-hmm.
turned out a different person. I'm very sure of that. I was on
Yeah.
a different path, and just meeting the right mentor make all the difference. And I'm curious to ask you, in all your journey, what role has mentorship played for you? How do you think
Yeah.
having the right mentor, the wrong mentor, because there are bad mentors too, right? Not all
Yeah.
mentors are great, but
Yeah.
yeah. So how
No.
do you think that has
Um.
how did it shape things for your journey?
Very critical. They're very critical. I also have had what I call situational mentors. And by that, I mean, in that particular situation, it was focused enough that they were able to guide me. In fact, those have been my most effective mentors. I have a couple of mentors that have been through this journey. Mentors anymore. At this point, they're friends, right? They've sent,
Right.
when my children were born, they sent gifts. We see each other here and there. So I actually don't even consider those are just they're my board of directors. They're no longer, they understand the holistic look at my life and where I'm going. So I have those. I have two mentors have been with me a long time, and they're like my board of directors. And then what I've infilled that with, they don't have all the knowledge, but what I've infilled that with is what I call situational mentors. So mentor at that pivot that said that helped me avoid pitfalls. And there's some
Hmm.
things that you need to experience by yourself, and there's some things that you need to learn from other people's experience about. So, for instance, when I became partner of the law firm, I didn't know what being a partner of the law firm meant or how I was going to orchestrate my book of business so that I was up for partnership. But having someone that had done that and guiding me through that situation was that situational mentor. Same thing when I was coming to law school. Like, how do I build that package? How do I, because I was a non traditional law student, right? My daughter was born my second year of law school. So um, I needed someone that didn't give me the traditional mind of a going to law school. So I needed a different vantage point. So along my journey, I've had, when I was facing really, really big decisions, I've sought out and been connected to situational mentors.
That's I think that's I like now that I have a term for it. So now when I want to
Hmm.
talk about it, I would say, yeah, now there is a term for it. And I think the way I see it sometimes is just like also having like sponsors, just having people
Yeah.
who know you well enough to kind of mention your name in those rooms where you don't have access, people who would help you watch your blind side. Because I believe all
Yeah.
of us have our blind side. And sometimes when you're just going, if you don't have people who would just kind of check you, it's like, okay, now you need to check and see, be sure you're not making a mistake. I think it makes a lot of difference and just avoid some mistakes that could be really, really
Yeah.
difficult. Yes. I
No,
have
for
one
me,
more.
I would say the sponsor is a little bit different. So view my mentors as guides. Like they are the microscope on things that I may not see. That's how I see my mentors as guide. My sponsors, very, very different expectation. They are getting me in the room, they're getting me paid, they're getting me the job. Like that is the sponsor has a very like there's an outcome with the sponsor. The mentor is, here's the landscape, you can go door A, door B, and here's what you can expect the door A and door B. A sponsor is someone that has enough power that they're in the room and they're saying, nope, that job is for you, Kemi, or nope, that
That
promotion is for you,
opportunity.
Kemi. Yeah,
Yeah.
that opportunity is for you, Kemi. They're able to do that, and I've had to pull those strings sometimes in life as well.
Oh wow, yeah, that's great. I think Gerald has a question. It's a really really long question. I'll probably read it from this end.
Hmm.
Yeah, he says, I quit my job late 2022 in search of a new challenge to switch from accounting to finance. Okay, I didn't even know they
Mm-hmm.
were different. Became jobless for He became jobless for 2 years, and recently he got a job I love so much recently, and the French government scholarship comes calling,
Hmm.
navigating from current peace to another chaos of uncertainty. What would be your
Yeah.
kind advice, please? Yeah, that's really like, oh wow, when the job comes, then the French government scholarship comes. I don't have a lot of context to this question, but just this is what we have.
Yeah.
What would be your
Yeah.
advice?
I don't. And Gerald, I don't have a lot of context, and I'm sorry that you're experiencing chaos because it can. The way our brain works when we're trying to navigate chaos is to stop, almost like try to stop the bleeding. uh my thing when I'm navigating chaos is I write, right? So part of the issues when you're going through chaos is there's a lot of things you don't want to name out loud. There's a lot of things that um either you're ashamed or you're just too in the weeds to speak. And so I would write those things down. What are some answers you need to get through the chaos and get very clear on that? That's how I've navigated some really, really hard decisions in my life, is getting clear with myself about the, because otherwise everything feels important. Everything feels like you need to address everything. And if you don't get quiet and insightful, right, you're not going to calm the chaos. So that's my advice. I don't have any context on what that French scholarship is and when the government comes calling, you know. But I know anytime you anytime you have to deal with government, it is chaos. So I'm so very sorry.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But thank you. I think that was very good advice. Augusta, yeah, Augusta is the French woman, right? You should probably reach out to Augusta and talk about French things.
True.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
She's
Yes.
in
So I
France,
worked
right?
with the French
Yeah, I didn't
movement when I
even
was in
think about
Nigeria
that.
before I came to France, and I help people navigate the whole coming to France as a student pathway. So I would just say like getting a scholarship is is like a coveted thing. A lot of people want to get these scholarships.
Mhm.
And I went to your profile and I can see that you graduated in 2019. You only worked for a few years. And I think you want to do a master's degree. So if you get a master's degree plus all your certifications, it will help you propel yourself faster in your career if that's where you the pathway you want to take. So yes, write these things down, but understand the situation and talk to your mentors where you want to be in the future. So you know that having a master's degree with a scholarship that many people are crying for is going to propel you
And
towards that direction faster. So that's what I have to say about it.
oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't even make the connection with the French and France. I always say France, but it's all similar. I would say maybe take the chance and go talk to Augusta. Maybe she would help you understand some of the chaos and what is it even a fully funded scholarship, right? There's so many
Yeah.
factors here. Are you fully sponsored? Are you going to a school that speaks English or a school that speaks French? There's so many factors, and this is the time where you really want to talk to like a niche expert, and I think you are in luck. You have someone that understands the process. So maybe she could help you untangle some of those chaos to really make that decision that would be the best for you. Thank you so much, Ukeme. I have one last question for you.
Sure
Thank you
thing.
for indulging us. Thank you for being here, for bringing your energy. Anytime I talk to you, I feel better. That's just it.
Wow.
Truly, whenever I talk to you, I'm like, okay, okay, just hold on, just keep going. Don't worry, don't worry. Just keep going.
Uh,
Just put those reps in. Put those reps in. It's just going to be all right. So thank you so much for being here. You really lifted my spirits. So looking ahead, what are some of the goals or the projects that you are most excited about for your community, for your own career, for your life? What are some of those things that are in the woodworks for you?
yeah. Um, so there's three buckets. There's me being a mom. So any way I can support my kids to achieve their dreams, that's always a big thing for me. So I always just kind of pray for the resources to be able to be the kind of mom that gives my kids all they need to succeed in life. So that's one. Always working within that bucket. The second thing is my community. We're living in a very, very tumultuous time. Um, and people turn on the news and they get anxiety and those kind of things. And I say, if I can make sure that when they walk out of their house and they're away from the news within the community, they have a quality of life that feels secure, public safety, has all the amenities, then we're doing good. And so, from a community standpoint, I hope to reduce anxieties when people step away from their TV, just because it's just so contentious. I still want everyone on the sidewalks, in the parks, regardless of your political affiliation, doing community well. And then the last thing is just immigration in this country is a mess. And so, from a social impact standpoint, how I think leaders forget the power and the ability they have um, to push back on some of these, what I call just outright stripping of the dignity country. And so, from a social impact standpoint, I can't tell you how many immigrants I encounter that are just depleted, that are beginning to feel hopeless, um, that despite everything they're doing, they just feel like their dignity is being stripped away. So, whatever I can do in terms of awareness, in terms of getting leaders rallied around that, is also the goals that I have for myself. It's kind of what wakes me up and keeps me driving in the morning. So I talk about cultural intelligence a lot. I talk about people checking their bias. I talk about people making border issues. We talk about immigration. It's always this illegal immigrants. It's like the ones at the border. I'm like, how many of you have even traveled to the border? Like most people, are coming in on an airplane, not like through the border. Like, there's just so many warped perceptions on immigration. And so helping to combat that in any way is a big part of what I do. So, Dr. Amaka, Dr. Augusta, thank you so much. I mean, Dr. Maka, I know that you grind away at Scholar Up, and this is, you just really pour into people, evident from taking your Saturday where you could just be chilling and having, a good old time. You're putting it into here and putting it into uplifting community. Dr. Augusta, same to you. I mean, we tend to be very American centric, but the same immigration issues happen in countries outside the US. And so thank you for everything that you're doing in France as well, to support the immigrant population.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This has been really very insightful. I've learned so much, got emotional, got inspired, got motivated, just got the strength to tell myself to just hold on, just keep going. I really thank you for your time. Dr. Augusta, any last words before we check on our friends in the chat and I can let Ukeme have her Saturday back? Yeah.
No, it's just gonna be words of thanks and appreciation. I think maybe I needed this, right? Because I was thinking about volunteering for the government here, not like the government, like the mayor's office, like
Yeah.
helping with some issues and stuff. Because I normally volunteer with Seco Popular, like the people that give out food and everything. And it was like, oh, they don't pay. I was just discussing with the person at the arcade, sorry, the welcome desk at my building, and then she was like, no, I should go and find a job in Monaco. They'll pay me well. Like, why would I volunteer? They won't pay me. I'm going to spend all of my time. I'm not going to make money. But now I'm thinking like maybe like I mean, I live in a border city now. I'm in Nice, and
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of people see black people and they just think that, oh, maybe I came from the water, like I came illegally from the sea. And like when I'm walking towards people, I see them clutching their bags. I see them looking at me, staring at me, like they literally just stand and stare at me, like,
Am
as
I,
if I'm
am I
trying to
safe?
crime, just in case that they can be an alert to call the police or something. But I feel like maybe if I follow my words, I mean what I'm preaching, practice what I preach, and volunteer with the small community with me, they can see a black person that's an immigrant trying to make positive impact in the community where I live. So I thank you, and this is what it has fallen in me. So this is what I'm grateful for. Thank you so much.
Oh, oh. Ukeme makes people cry.
I just think we all have a little part of us that we can give. Truly, I truly think that all, and we've got to give it. We've got to use it. We got to find the way. Like you said earlier, you got to be the change you want to see. No one's coming to save us. Truly.
No one's coming. Yeah, no one. That's just a sad reality. Let's see what our friends in the chat are saying as we begin to wind down. Thank you all for hanging out with us this Saturday. You could have been anywhere else, but you're here. So Kana
Yeah.
says very inspiring. Thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you for the platform. Amazing discussion happening here. Yes. Thank you for staying and hanging with us. We appreciate it. So having a child while in law school, that's strength. Well, she already proved, she already, when you, she's strong, right? She has grit. Yeah, because that's something we didn't even go into. Like, how did you even manage that, right? How did you manage that and finish? He said, thank you. He said the scholarship is fully funded and he will be in your DM. So definitely, dear Dr. Augusta is the person that can help you untangle this thing in your head. I don't know nothing about France, but you are in luck. She knows. Emeka says, thank you, Mayor, for bringing so much energy into the conversation. Yep, we appreciate you.
Been an honor. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I've been nodding in support. Please don't break your neck, Arumosele. Arumosele is my adopted elder brother.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So if you have access, you should volunteer. Yes, you should. Yeah, really.
Yes,
If you have
you absolutely
access,
should.
you
Absolutely
should.
should.
You definitely should. Yes, because it's an opportunity to be the change you want to see instead of just complain about it. Professor Roxana says, thank you for the positive energy. Thank Thank you for being here with us, Professor Roxana. We are honored to have you. So we are beginning to wind down. Thank you so much for being here. This conversation, it's like, these are some of those conversations you feel like, let's just keep going. Let's not stop because,
Yeah.
it's just so much learning. But I do know that it's a weekend. You have your community, your life, your school, your career, your children. How do you do the things you do, lady? But we are so happy. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
honoring us with your time, with your presence, and just being so humble and so giving. It says a lot about your character, right? It says a lot about a person, the way they will just give their time, give their effort, give their knowledge, and not even ask for anything in return. It's just because it's the right thing to do. Not a lot of people are able to make those decisions, and I wanted to say that to you. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank
And this is us winding down. If you have any final thoughts, final advice for those in the audience, 1 minute. Take a go at it.
Oh my
I let-
goodness. No, I think I already said it. Be the change you want to see. Like
Hmm.
I live by that all the time. And nothing could have been truer than the situation with my daughter. I could have you can't always phone in change. You can't always write in change. You can't always just wait for someone. Sometimes you have to be the person that is going to step in and do that thing. So be the change you want to see.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much. Augusta, final words or you're good? We
I'm
don't
good.
want to make
I'm change. I am change, Augusta.
You
I'm
are
going
the
to change.
change. Yes, Dr.
Yes.
Augusta
Yeah.
is the change. You tell me all about your volunteering in the mayor's office. I'll be happy to hear that. So thank you all for hanging with us. As usual, we are starting our next cohort 13 next week, Saturday. If you've not signed
Wow,
up for
13
that,
already.
so 13 already. It's been 1 year, Ukeme. It's been one
Oh
year. You
wow,
graduated
that's
Professor
awesome. Major
Love.
congrats.
Nope. Thank you so much. Thank you. I would say it's been God and grace all the while. There has been so many times I wanted to give up on it. And then I look at people and I'm like, okay, maybe you've been called to do this. Just keep going. So it's been a pleasure having all of you here with us. And I'm just going to close out with our video just as a closing video so that you can all have the rest of your day back.
Success begins with the right guidance and opportunities. And at Scholar Up Mentoring Academy, we are here to help you unlock your full potential. Whether you're preparing for graduate school applications or building a standout professional presence on LinkedIn, we provide the tools and support you need to thrive. Our programs are designed to help you craft a compelling personal brand, position yourself for global opportunities, and achieve your dreams. Led by Dr. Amaka Ifaduba, a dedicated mentor and coach, Scholar Up empowers you with personalized mentoring, actionable resources, and proven strategies to take bold steps toward a brighter future. Scholar Up Mentoring Academy is more than a program. It's a community dedicated to helping you succeed. Take the first step today and discover how we can guide you on your journey to greatness. Follow our page for updates and access all our resources at linktree.com/scholarupacademy. Your success story starts here.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out with us. I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream now. See you on the next one. Bye bye.